Hello. Let's try this again, shall we? Hello, my friends. It is I, Cheryl Muppin Whited. How are you doing today? I would say that I am live to you through the power of the internet, but it is not live. This is a pre-recorded video, but normally we do come to you every Tuesday at 12 noon Central, usually live through the power of the internet. How are you doing today? It's a beautiful day. It is a cold day here in historic downtown Paducah, Kentucky. My friends, do not forget to pick up our smocking book. It is in stock, and you should hurry before it goes out of stock yet again. I hope you are doing wonderfully well. Um, oh, this is supposed to be a crawler. That is not what that is. Oh my goodness. OMG. um there we go. Let's do that, shall we? It is all fun and games until the technology stops, as I like to say. Today we're doing something a little bit different. We are going to be going through some of my heirloom collection, and we're going to talk about living with your heirloom textiles. And as you know, I quite often live with my textiles daily, every day, with my every day in my studio, in my home. And we're going to talk about some of those things here today. I once again hope you are doing wonderfully well. And I'm doing well as well. Today we're going to talk about specifically my pillowcase collection because I do live and use heirloom pillowcases every single day, and you're going to see something here that we are going to talk about, and we're going to discuss whether or not you should repair things that like those types of things. Okay, so it is freezing in here. I refuse to turn the heat on. First of all, I want to talk about these particular ones to start with. Now, these are all pillowcases from my collection, and I have to tell you that some of these I don't use as often as you would think, and that's because some of them are just so amazing that I kind of put those ones to the side a little bit. Now, I will show you one thing before I get into this lovely textile because this is amazing. I have always loved pillowcases, and I have always loved embroidered pillowcases. And this will show you exactly how much I do love them. As a young kid, I was teaching myself embroidery, and I embroidered this pillowcase, which was the only white-ish pillowcase that we owned. And you can see I started doing some pretty things. I did a heart. I did some French knots, teaching myself how to do French knots, and a little daisy. And then because I was a comic book nerd, I I embroidered the word the X-Men on here because I'm a big nerd. And then this used to be my little sigil that I used to draw on all of my drawings when I was a kid. And so that is embroidered on here as well. Just to show you that I've loved embroidered pillowcases since I was young. So still have this after all these years, my little embroidered pillowcase. Okay, so let's talk about these because they all look somewhat similar, and they have like this grayish outline, and we're going to talk about what that is. Um, it appears to be a way of that these were stamped embroidery, so you could go back and do the embroideries. And this one needs a little ironing, but it's fine. It does have some cut work on it, which is really beautiful. And it's rare for me to find these types, these gray embroidered types. So I don't find them as often as I used to, and I usually fold my pillowcases in thirds. That's why you see them all like this. But some of the hallmarks of this, again, is you can see this very fine stitching here. This is all done by hand. You also have this gray sort of stencily look. I mean, it's just been embroidered over the stencil, and this hasn't been laundered as much. So those stencil areas have not come out. But I kind of like the shadow that it gives these embroideries. Um, I just find them to be really, really lovely. So, again, this does have some cut work in it. So you can see that cut work there. That was really common for this type of pillowcase. But this one has to be like the best one that I've ever found. And I bought this pillowcase for $6 whole dollars. But look at that. It is a full embroidered person with all of this beautiful drawn thread work all through this area. This is probably one of my all-time favorites. I very rarely use it because I just can't. I just This one is a little precious to me. I just try to keep this one a little bit separate from the others. You can see it's got a little stain there. That'll probably come out pretty easily. Um, they don't get laundered as much because I don't use them as much. Now, here is another one. I have not used this one either. One, it's because width-wise, it's too small for any of my pillows. So from this end to this end, it doesn't actually fit any of my pillows. They won't fit in here. What I like about this one is the pin tucks that, of course, really spoke to me. But there's also an inserted crochet section. So this is an insertion, and then it also has a second layer fabric, and then the pillowcase edge. So you can also see that this was made specifically for this pillowcase, and there's a couple reasons you can figure that out. So you can see here where the crochet has been joined, so it is perfect all the way around. There's no sewn edge, no, and you can see that here as well. So very nice. $3 whole dollars, I think I paid for this one, but I think at first I thought this might be like the top of a nightgown or something like that. So this one does not fit any of my pillows, unfortunately. So it doesn't get used very much at all. So we're just going to put that one aside as well. Now, as for the ones that I do use, and I have some that are just well loved in my house, we have this one here. This one for sure. Here's another one that I use a lot. And how can you tell? Well, you can tell by the color, right? This is not a cream colored fabric. This has actually been used so much it has discolored. And you'll also see that and it's very hard to see probably in these lights. I can see it right away, but you probably cannot. But there is some staining here in the middle where your head goes, and it's very subtle in the camera, but here in person it's pretty obvious. The edges are still fairly white. The center is not nearly as white. The other thing is that I have loved on this one so much that you can see the embroidery is just barely threadbare hanging on. And I'm okay with that. This is inside out. But you can see, yeah, still threadbare, still barely hanging on. And you can see I love, love, love. Look at how much detail is in these little flowers, with the little green inside each one. I just This is just one of my all-time favorites. I use it all the time. Again, the reason it's so stained in the middle is where my head goes. And I have to tell you that when you live with your pillowcases, you have to not be worried about that. I also don't care about the occasional tiny hole. So there'll be a tiny hole here and there. To me, that's just part of their character. And as long as it's not a big rip, I'll keep using it. So these pillowcases, I do use all the time. And here's how I will fold it. I fold it into thirds, and then that's how I can see it. I usually iron my pillowcases. The pillowcases I iron, the other stuff I do not. Again, this is just so dingy that you would think it's a cream color. But I can actually wash this in the vintage with the vintage soak, and that will get this back to white. So some of the ones that we use a lot are the Mr. and Mrs. ones. We have quite a few of those. Here's a his. Now here's this is something that's really interesting because this again looks really it looks yellow. It looks cream colored. It is not cream colored. I can promise you it's not cream colored. If you look here at the edge of the pillowcase, you can see how white it is compared to the middle. Now, those of you who have oily skin know, and I suffer from that, and also my husband does as well. And his pillowcases get really, really dingy really, really quickly. So we do use a vintage soak to whiten these occasionally. But honestly, 9 times out of 10, I use them as they are and then don't worry about the staining. I will get that out later if I need to, but these are meant to be used. Somebody embroidered all of these. I didn't embroider them, somebody else did, and I honor that person's work by using them in my house every day. Here's another one. This is a hers pillowcase. And I just wanted to show you that, like, occasionally there will be a mark. That's because sometimes I'm a bad person and I don't take all my makeup off before I go to bed. So, I just use them. I use them. They get my hair dye. Hair dye is another thing that gets on these pillowcases a lot. I do have one pillowcase that I use for when I have dyed my hair pink. As you know, I dye my hair pink quite a lot. I just dropped everything onto the floor. So here's one that I use when I dye my hair pink. And this is a all over pillowcase design. It's huge. Oh, is he upside down? No, he's not. It's huge. It goes across like nearly the whole thing. You can see the iron-on pieces just barely peeking out there. I have used this so many times it's not even funny. It looks fantastic. Like I said, I can't tell you how often I use this. I use it a lot. Whenever I dye my hair pink, I use it, and sometimes I end up sleeping on this side, sometimes I sleep on this side. But this is a keeper because it is pink, and my pink hair dye will not affect it as much. Um, you just have to have like a sense of like wanting to honor the work that these folks did, and I do that. Here's another one that's been in my collection quite often. I use this one a lot. You can see it's an all over pillowcase design. It's got like these like autumn style leaves, and then of course a little crocheted edge, which I just find to be like the prettiest little detail. So some of my favorites, and I use these a lot. They stay in my collection, and I just pull whatever which one's on the top. That's usually how it goes. Here's another set that I absolutely love. I have both the his and the hers. Beautiful little French knots. Just this is so pretty. It's so prettily made. With the his and the hers. No uh no frill on here. And these are really in really good condition, and I just keep them together. When I need a set, I just pull them out. um I'll get to this one in a minute. This one's a little bit different. This one is my only punch needle pillowcase. I use it quite a bit. It's a little bit yellowed up here, so you can see that, I think, in the light. But it is my only punch needle um, pillowcase that I have, and I just fell in love with it as soon as I saw it. Just look at how nicely that's done. And this is just it's a common it goes into what do I call it, the common rotation. um some I have like in high rotation, and some are in lesser rotation. A lot of times too, like I will put them I'll use them, and then I'll feel bad because I've only been using the same like three for 3 or 4 cycles of the wash, and then I'll go back. I want to keep these two aside for right now. Here's a couple where they're kind of different. Not you have that variegated threads, and you decide like you're gonna do an insertion, so that's what you're gonna do. And I don't know what bedroom these matched, but theirs are just single pillowcases. I don't have any others with them. You can see the stains on this one, but this one is going to show you a little bit about what happens when you're using them a lot, and you'll start to things will start to fray, they'll start to come apart. What I do is I just come in and I repair that, and I keep using it. This one I don't believe was finished. No, it was finished, but the green threads are starting to wear away. You can see that there's been some stitches here that is starting to go. Um, it's got a pretty significant rip in it. I just leave it as long as I'm not catching it or having any problems, but it is still lovely, and I just love all these French knots. They're just so fantastic. It's hard to say no. But this one you can see has been in high rotation. It's a little dingy here. So this would be a good candidate for the bath. Here's also, you can see I didn't take my makeup off. So there's like mascara stains and things like that. So, don't I'd say don't be afraid to live with these linens. They were meant to be used. Somebody you made this, and it was meant to be used. Sometimes the softer they are, the more you can tell that they were used before you got them. Here's one that I do occasionally use. You can see that it's a little dinge, but look at how pretty this little nightgown and the little hair curlers and the glasses and the slippers. Oh my gosh, the slippers. And then the just tiny little picot edge on the on this. It's just precious. This is one that if it comes up, I will use it, but sometimes I'm like, nope, it's too sweet. And I'll skip it. Here's another one. You can tell that I use it because I haven't ironed it. I just put it right back in. But this one with the little kitty cat, oh my gosh, with sweet dreams on it. So cute. Again, a normal pillowcase, no embroidery on it or anything. There is stitches here. You can see the stamped embroidery that somebody either didn't get to or they have come out. I would think that they just didn't get to them because the rest of it is so nicely done. But that little kitten I really do love. Now we're getting down to it. Here's one that I believe is machine made or is um made by or is just like commercial. I don't get the sense that this one and its partner, so I do have some of these that are, oh, these are not the same. Oh my gosh, they're not the same. Look, I almost said that they were. This one has triangle edges. This one has rounded edges, but they're more machine made than handmade. And so I do use these a lot. I do like them. Again, they stay in my collection. I'll double those up because those are good to use in double. Oh, here's the Mr. to the Mrs. What's really sweet about this one is it's got a really lovely uh, crocheted edge. That's a really unusual crocheted edge, a really detailed one. What is funny is my husband always laughs whenever I put the pink frilly ones on his on his stuff. Here's another one. I do use it. It's got a hole in it. You can tell it's a little bit dingy. There's only one of these. There's not. There used to be a set. It has been separated from its set and it is all by itself. And so sometimes I find them and they're single pillowcases. They're inexpensive. And so I do pick them up if I can. Here's another one that I find a little difficult to use when it comes up in the pile. And that's because it's got so much beautiful embroidery on it. Look at how sweet this is with the little babies, the little bluebirds, and the statement, the prayer on there. This is one that when it comes up, I usually skip over it and I don't use it. Only because this one is precious and I want it to stay in good condition. You can see it's pretty white. It's not stained at all. So it's in good shape and I like to keep that one that way. It's very sweet. Now here's one that we use all the time and I do love this incredible crocheted motif. So these were really popular, but here's, as you can see, we use it a lot. Not only is it starting to get little wearing holes, but the crochet has disconnected here. So I'll just stitch that up. These, on the other hand, again, they're not like the fabric is still strong and in good shape, and so it's not going to like completely rip open. You can see just in the middle here, it's hard to see on this camera, but it is dingy in the middle. This would be a good candidate for the wash, and I just throw these into the laundry with the rest of my laundry when I'm washing light colors and things like that. So don't be afraid. If you're using them, use them. Just use them. That's all I'm saying. All right, now this one is the only one that I have ever found like this. And I'm sure it was a I'm sure it was a vintage pan uh iron on. But I have never ever otherwise seen a spouse mouse. I've seen his, hers, Mr., Mrs. I've seen all of that, but I have never, other than this one, come across a spouse. This, however, this pillowcase is like a polyester blend, and it is really like it even how polyester blends they like hold that vintage smell, that dusty, musty smell. And this can hold that. Now, this would also be a good candidate for that soak. But we use it a lot. And because it's got that polyester blend in it, and you can see we do use it, it's very dingy here compared to the rest. And so we sleep on it, and little spouse mouse. I love it. Like I said, I see a lot of his's and hers, but I don't see any of these others. Now, these last ones, we this is quite the interesting set of pillowcases. So this is the first one that I came across, and it was all by itself. And I was like, oh, that's kind of risque. And I didn't know at the time that these were a thing. Yes, these are a bridesmaid's gift that you could make for a bride. And I thought, well, if there's a yes, there has to be a no. And could there be? And so I do use this one, not for that reason. It just goes into rotation, and we do use it. It's got some drool stains on it, I'm sure. But so yes, so she's tweeting yes to the little mister here, and I was like, is this what this really means? It does, because I have found this set. Now, here's the thing. Not all of these pillowcases, when you would purchase them and they'd be pre-stamped, you could use embroidery, or there were these permanent puff paints or permanent paints that you could paint the material with. And this was really, really popular. If you didn't want to do the embroidery, you could do them in paint. And so I was able to find this set. So as you saw, here's the yes. Okay, she did the yes, and here's the embroidered version. Okay. And here's the no. Now look, it's all sunny in their world and everything. And it is it is not sunny. It's raining, and there's no, and no means no here. He looks pretty upset, and she looks just perfectly content with herself. And these crack me up. There is a whole thing of them. There's other animals. There's all kinds of other things out there for these. So if you get a chance, if you want to collect something amusing, or even perhaps use them in your household to let your significant other know that tonight's the night, or tonight is not the night. And there were reversible pillows that were like yes and no on either side. You would flip them over. But yeah, This is just too funny. Now, these again came from the factory with a stitched, um, uh, a little stitched edging on them that was already on there when they were purchased. So that's how they were. You would buy them, and then the stamping. You could either do this paint technique, or you could do the other stuff, you know. So how funny is the yes and the no? These are, oh my gosh, they're just too funny. And I have to say, like, these, do not be afraid to live with your linens. Someone made them. I find them a comfort. I find that people would, I think, be very happy that I'm using them. I know that if I made a quilt and someone didn't want to use it, I would feel bad. Now, next week, we're going to talk about quilts that have decayed, have a spot on them that have completely been, the fabric's been eaten away, but the rest of the quilt is in good shape. So, what can you do? Some of those would be called cutter quilts. Well, we're going to talk about that next week. So, my friends, I hope you have a wonderful day. I hope you have a fantastic week. Thank you so much for joining me. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and make sure that you hit that notification bell so that you get notified every time we post. If you're over on Facebook, you can set the our page to notify you first every time we make a post. So that would be a way so that you can never miss an episode of our show. Once again, my friends, have a wonderful week. I hope all of you stay safe, stay happy, and I will see you on the other side.